This is the heart. This is the superior. This is the inferior
Vena cava.
This is the subclavian artery. And this is the aorta. You saw that?
Yep. And then
This is the
iliac
This is the iliac
artery.
That's all right.
Yep. So that's the subclavian vein right there. This is the superior vena cava, and down here. This is the renal artery, this red artery going into the kidney. Then right beside it is the renal vein.
This is the tongue. This whole region is the pharynx. This is this is the epiglottis, and then this is the esophagus.
Open wide. Okay, so the passage of food from the lips to the anus. So food is put in the mouth, it's chewed by the teeth, it's mixed with saliva with the help of the tongue, and it's swallowed. The food goes through the pharynx, passes the epiglottis, goes through the esophagus, which is this little soft tube right behind the trachea. This goes all the way down into the stomach.
This is the pancreas.
There's a bunch of acid in the stomach, which turns the food into chyme. The chyme passes into the duodenum, which is connected into the stomach. I'm not sure where it is. There it is. So part of the small intestine that's connected to the stomach. There it's met with bile from the gallbladder, pancreatic juice, which neutralizes the acid. And then it passes through the small intestine, where it's further broken down and absorbed by the villi on the intestinal wall. And finally, the indigestibles go through the large intestine, which is...
All this green stuff is the large intestine. This is the anus. And all, like, this area is the pancreas, right?
No, that's the rectum.
Rectum.
Okay, like, wiggle the probe around.
Okay. Like, yeah, that's the rectum.
Yeah.
That's the rectum.
Yeah, exactly. Which goes down into the anus, and finally out the anus. This whole area is the rectum.
And the butt.
Okay, the path of the egg from the ovary to implantation. So that's the ovary right there. A primary follicle in it creates a primary oocyte with 46 chromosomes. It then goes through meiosis 1 to become a secondary oocyte with 23 chromosomes and a polar body. It then goes into a vesicular follicle, which secretes the secondary oocyte into the uterus, where it is fertilized, may or may not be fertilized. And if it is, the sperm enters the secondary oocyte, making it go into second meiosis, where the nuclei of the sperm and the oocyte fuse, resulting in a zygote with 46 chromosomes. And then the zygote grows into an embryo in the uterus. 9 months later, boom. So after the vesicular follicle secretes the oocyte, it turns into a corpus luteum, which produces progesterone and some estrogen. If fertilization does not occur within 10 days, it shrivels up and dies.
These are the lungs. This is the bronchi right here.
Yeah, it's connecting the lung to the trachea. It's a little tube there, I don't know if you can see it.
And this is the larynx right here.
Yep.
And what else am I showing?
The trachea.
And then the trachea is this whole tube coming down. And and what else?
The diaphragm, it's on top of
Yeah,
that,
and then
that thing.
this right here, we cut some of our diaphragm, but this is it right here.
This here's a kidney. It filters out your blood. It filters all of it really quick, actually. And this is your ureter. It takes whatever your kidney filters out, including urea, uric acid. Depending if you have too much, say, glucose in your bloodstream, it's gonna filter it out. It's gonna go through here. It's gonna enter the bladder, which is this little sac right here. And it's gonna be stored until you pee it all out. And at that point, the sphincters here are gonna relax. The urine is gonna go through the urethra, then exit out through the urethral opening around over here. So here we have the brain. This, the biggest part, is the cerebrum. It integrates sensory input and commands voluntary motor responses. It's divided into the left and right cerebral hemispheres, separated by the longitudinal fissure. It has an outer layer of gray matter, and the basal nuclei integrate motor commands. On the back side here, we have this cerebellum. Under the occipital lobe of the cerebrum, which is this part, separated from the brainstem by a fourth ventricle, and it's made of mostly white matter. It receives sensory input from body and position from the body and the position of body parts, and it sends motor signals to produce smooth coordinated movements, for example, playing piano. And on the underside, here we have the brainstem and the medulla oblongata. This controls your heartbeat, breathing, and blood pressure, and it's the reflex centers for vomiting, coughing, sneezing, hiccuping, and swallowing.